Question 1. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 2, 1 and is parallel to the line represented by y equals 2x plus 10? So right away, I know parallel means same slope. I also see that this is in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to have those 4 steps. So step 1 is the original equation. So we have y equals 2x plus 10. Step 2 is to plug in our point, right? So we make a table in a Desmos. I'm going to write it in table form so I remember. Step 3 is to write the equation. So y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And step 4 is to write the slope. So again, I know this is parallel. So I know that my slope is going to be 2. So right away I can look at my answer choices and I know it's not going to be C and it's not going to be D. Okay, then we go over to Desmos and we do our steps. So we have y equals, slide this over, 2x plus 10. And step 2 is to make our table with our points. So we have 2, 1 is our point. Step 3 is our formula. So y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And step 4 is always to plug in your slope. So this is our missing piece right here, is that y-intercept. And so now I know my equation. I can go ahead and write my y-intercept is -3. So my whole parallel equation is A, which makes sense, right? Here's my parallel slope, and now I have my y-intercept. Okay, question number 2. The table represents some points of a linear function. Which equation represents the same relationship? So if they're asking for the same relationship, they just mean obviously matching the table to these answer choices, which are in standard form. So you could do this 2 different ways, but the real quick way, if they're asking for the same relationship, again, that just means which one's the same. I can just go ahead and take an x value and a y value. I'll make these different colors. And I can plug them in to my equations here. So I'll plug in my x value and my y values for y. So when I'm here, I can take 2. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in -12. Oops. Sorry. -12. And then we have minus, and then that y value, which is 54. And I see that that gives me 78, which is not the same thing as 12. So I know that this one, oops, is not my answer. Okay, now I'm going to look at the next one. I have 3 instead of x, I'm going to plug in -12, so 3 times -12, plus, and instead of y, I'm going to plug in 54, and that gives me 18, which does match choice B. So that's just like a really quick way I could solve that. If you don't do it that way, of course, you can go ahead and plug in 2 points from your table, and you can get what the equation is, which is -3x plus 18. So y equals -3x plus 18. And then you can go ahead and change that to standard form. So this one's pretty quick. I can just move 3x onto the other side, and I would get 3x plus y equals 18, which also matches this. So either method works, but that's just another strategy you could use to quickly solve. Okay, number 3, what is the slope of a line that passes through the points 1932 and 1120? So right away, I'm just going to put this in a table for a few reasons. One, I want to make sure I'm writing it the right way in Desmos. And again, I can just write x1, x2, y1, y2 in case I need to change it over here. I can see that they're in fraction form, so I'll probably need to. Okay, so we're gonna make our table because I'm finding slope, 1120, and there we go. I have my equation, y equals 1.5x plus 3.5. Now, as you can see, I'm just looking for slope, which is in fraction form. Now, this slope, 1.5, is a nice little friendly decimal. It's a terminating decimal. So I can just plug that in, hit the fraction key, and I get 3/2. So my answer is D. Okay, number 4, what is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point -9, 10 and is perpendicular to y equals 3x minus 6? Okay, so a few things going on here. I know it's perpendicular, and so I know right away I'm going to have to flip and switch my slope. And here is my point. All right, and this is in slope-intercept form, so I'm gonna have those 4 steps. So step 1 is always our OG. So I have y equals 3x minus 6. Now with perpendicular, again, we have that flip and switch. So we need to make sure that we are doing that before we do any of our other steps. So my slope is 3. I need to flip it, which means I need to change it into a fraction. So 3/1. My flip becomes 1/3. And my switch is -1/3. Now I have my perpendicular slope. So I would always write the words flip and switch so you remember that you're separating both of those steps. Okay, step 2 is making our table in Desmos with our point, so -9 and 10. Step 3 is our formula. And yes, we want to write this over and over and over again so when it comes down to the test, we don't forget. And step 4 is to write this perpendicular slope into Desmos. Okay, so now we're going to come here and we're going to go ahead and do those steps. So we have y equals 3x minus 6. Step 2 is to make our table with our points. We have -9 and 10. Oops. Step 3 is always to enter the formula. So we have y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And step 4 is to enter in that perpendicular slope. So remember the perpendicular slope we got is -1/3. Okay, and again, with the y-intercept is that missing piece that we're looking for. So when I come over here, I can see that my correct answer is C. Also, right away, I should have done this, but we could have eliminated B and eliminated A because again, it's perpendicular, so I know that this is what my slope should have been. Okay, number 5, you're finding the rate of change. So rate of change, remember, is the same thing as finding slope. So this one should be relatively simple, I hope. You have a table and you are just plugging it into Desmos. Now, if you look, your table is going horizontally. So if you don't like that or you're nervous on making mistakes, I would write your 2 points then vertically. So I have -27 and 39 and -12 with 19, because obviously we just don't want to plug those in wrong and make a mistake on a relatively easy question. So -12 and 19, go ahead and get our equation. Now I have this as my equation. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 things before I start converting. First of all, I see that it's negative, so I can go ahead and eliminate A and B because those are both positive. Now let's say you don't remember how to use the formula for slope of a line, or you don't know how to change this to a fraction, we can also go ahead and enter in these answer choices and see which one matches. Now, I also hope you notice that if you look at that decimal, it has a whole number in front of the decimal, which means your numerator is larger. But if we don't remember any of that, we have to just practice how we could just put it in and see which one's right. Okay, so I know that that doesn't match, and I'm gonna plug in -4 divided by 3, and oop, look at, that matches this, right? So I can confirm that D is my answer. But you would also could just use, of course, slope of a line and plug that into Desmos to get your answer in fraction form. But either way, this actually probably works a little bit faster. Okay, number 6, the graph of a linear function is shown. Which equation best represents this function? So this one's kind of easy. All these answer choices are in slope-intercept form. So the only thing that you have to remember is that I have a graph here. So I am looking for my 2 perfect points. So if I'm here, I can see that this is a perfect point, and I can go ahead and use this one. That is also a perfect point. So I'm going to make sure I write those down so I know I'm writing them correctly. And actually, I don't know where my eraser went. There we go. Oops. Okay, so we have our 2 points, and I'm actually going to write that in a table format. So my first one, I have 0, -5, and my second one is 0, -3. And if you look, ooh, that's your y-intercept, right? And here's my x-intercept. Just a little side note. Okay, and we are just simply finding the equation of the line. So we plug in our 2 points. So 0, -5, and -3, 0. And there we have our equation of a line. So again, if you don't remember, well, you should remember slope of line formula since it's on your star reference sheet, but let's just say you don't. Well, if you do, oh gosh, sorry. So we have x1, x2, y1, y2. So we can always use our formula to plug those in. So let's go ahead and do that. But again, if you don't remember, you can always just plug in those fractions and see which one matches. But I'm going to use our formula. So I have y2 minus y1. So 0 minus -5 divided by -3 minus 0. And I can hit my fraction key, and there we go. I get my slope, which is -5 over 3. And then my y-intercept is -5, so our answer is C. Now again, if I didn't remember, I could certainly go ahead and type in these fractions here. Let's just do one so you can see. So if I didn't know, I could do -5 divided by 3, and if you see, that matches the same slope I got. So that's just a way to verify that that's right, or if you just forget. Number 7, what is the equation in standard form of the line that passes through the point 6, -1 and is parallel to the line represented by 8x plus 3y equals 15? So here we have standard form. So remember, standard form is a little bit different. Standard form, think of it like your plug-in formula. You just can plug in points. So it's parallel, which means for standard form, it's going to have the same left side. Like all of this on the left is going to be the same. So I can look at my equations right away. This one has the same left. This one does not. This one does. This one does not. Okay, so I can eliminate 2 choices just by doing that. Now, 6 is my x and -1 is my y. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 6 for x plus 3 times -1 for my y. And come back over here, and we're going to plug that in. So I have 8 times 6 plus 3 times -1, and we get 45. So then right away, we can see our answer is C, 8x plus 3y equals 45.